This must have been a challenging meeting. Herding and cultivating were very different ways of life. They both had to adapt. Not all communities took up this new way of life. Some hill villages stayed with grain, but left no evidence of animal herding. By comparing sites, archaeologists can see the remarkable difference animals soon made to farming life. Below the huts, in the valley, was a community which was much larger and more prosperous. The difference here was made by the humble goat. These animals were really the catalyst for urban life as we know it today. People came together in large communities. Extended families could work together. They were now secure and could plan for the future. Reliable grain and regular meat. But there was a downside. People and animals were crammed together. They created hygiene problems and new diseases. The pressure was on to organize, to keep everything apart. To do that, they needed new towns built in a new way. They began to spread down the valleys of Jordan as the population increased.
There's a transformation that's taking place, and beginning to get many more settlements than there were before. So quite clearly there's an expanding population, completely reliant on agriculture. They're then moving away from the places which suited them as hunter-gatherers or part hunter-gatherers and settling down in the major areas of plains.
Archaeologists are picking over the ruins stone by stone, tracking the evolution of architecture. The foundations reveal the very earliest building, reconstructed as a simple round house like this. The walls in the original were made from stones dragged from the riverbeds. Beneath these modern desert villages are the very first examples of the building methods still used today. They are separated by 5 meters of rubble and 9,000 years. Here, the builders discovered that the walls of rectangular rooms are stronger than circular ones, so they learnt to make straight walls and corners. 4,000 years before the pyramids, they used stone chisels to shape windows and doorways. Archaeologists have found the place where this surge of creativity actually began, Jerf al-Ahmar in Syria. It's the first complex farming town. Here, they mapped laneways and cramped houses 10,000 years old. Daniel Stodeur's research was a race against time. In 4 years, the waters of a rising dam destroyed the site forever.
In the site of Jerf al-Ahmar, we can have all the architectural evolution of the houses, domestic architecture, with first circular houses, then oval houses with interior rectilinear walls, and finally true real rectangular houses.
The rectangular shapes of Jerf spread. New villages grew with the new ideas. Mohammed Najjar has been excavating a village which shows just how sophisticated these Stone Age architects were. A small plaza led to shaped steps on a central street. Doorways opened to family houses on each side. Najjar found enigmatic tunnels in the walls of the houses, which turned out to be Stone Age air conditioning shafts.
There is a shaft coming through the wall and opening at the floor level, so it's empty from outside. Some of these shafts inside the wall are connected. I'm not sure that you can see it from this side, but we have another shaft here. The opening is here, and because the wall was broken here, in this part, you can see the shaft from here, from the top. At that time, I would say the village was a very beautiful village. I mean, imagine all these houses, one-story houses, two-story houses covered with plaster from the outside and from the inside, and painted red in certain points. I mean, if you can imagine that must be a very beautiful village at that time.
These new villages bustled with life. They had plenty of food. Now some people could be freed from the grind of farming. They developed their talents into specialized jobs. Knife makers collected special rose-colored flint for their finest blades. The first potters learnt to make containers from clay, which was dried in the sun. Archaeologists have found the remains of baskets intended for trade. Some were sealed with a lining made with clay or bitumen. Other baskets were woven from local grasses and reeds for a host of different tasks. The same skills were used to develop the first woven fabrics. To do this, they created perhaps the earliest piece of complex technology ever devised. They designed the first looms, still found in villages today. They developed a soft cloth from native flax and made linen. Households grew to take in extended families. Kitchens were separated from bedrooms, and the need for privacy was growing.
The architecture goes way beyond what you need just for simple shelter. People are using architecture, just like modern architects use architecture, to express ideas about not just form and volume and so forth, but about how the world is and how we should live in it and how we relate to that world. They're creating an artificial built environment.
They paid as much attention to the beauty of their domestic objects.
For the first time in human history, we're seeing people who behave like us. They do it because they can. It makes a richer life, it makes a richer world, it makes for deeper understanding. I think we underestimate just homemaking. For us, it's a very deeply felt need, so deeply felt that mostly we don't think about it. But what we're seeing are the very first people who are engaging in that kind of activity where they're in the interior of their house, they're turning it into their little home.